President Eisenhower, the man himself, the beautiful guy. He had a calm, collective attitude throughout his term, helping us through the Cold War, helping end the Korean War, and building the highway system were some of the key events, and only a few of them. Eisenhower throughout his term was considered to be a do-nothing, and yes, he was pretty slacked off. He did golf and hunt and fish throughout his free time. However, in doing so of being a do-nothing, he kept America at peace by avoiding conflict as best as he could throughout his term. The U-2 spy plane being shot down was one of the drawbacks, but he helped lead America with better relations with USSR. Now, like briefly mentioned before, Eisenhower built the highway system. He did this to help military transportation mainly, so to get from point A to point C at a faster rate without going through off-roads and causing a slower time travel through that. But then got civilian attention later on, which made it a main way of fast travel throughout the states and inside the country. On July 27, 1953, almost 7 months after President Eisenhower's election as the 34th President of the United States, an armistice was signed ending organized combat operations and leaving the Korean Peninsula divided much as it had been since the close of the World War II at the 38th parallel. This helped end war and conflict all throughout Korea, and it was one of his biggest events he was known for. Eisenhower also signed the Civil Rights Act of 1957, which helped the violence between African Americans and whites in a few states. Eisenhower had to order in a few federal troops to protect 9 children in integrating into public schools for the first time. The U.S. federal government ordered troops in the South since the Reconstruction era. This was very significant, and it was one of the biggest acts to be due in the Civil Rights Movement. Dwight Eisenhower wasn't a perfect guy, even though all we wish he was. Some of his drawbacks was defusing the Cold War, and the U-2 spy plane being shot down was one of the main things that helped draw that back. But he pushed through it and actually built up most of the things that ended the USSR. He also failed to provide leadership in the civil rights. Although later on he grew more supportive of civil rights as his presidency progressed, he did not lead them.
One reason Lincoln is the worst president in the world is because he was known for suspending habeas corpus during the Civil War. If you've ever seen so much as been in the same room as a lawyer, you'll know that habeas corpus is an important legal principle. In essence, it means any state that orders your arrest has to then justify your continued imprisonment before a judge. Getting rid of it means anyone can be summarily. Another reason Lincoln was also one of the worst presidents, he was known for deporting his critics during the war. He didn't like that people had freedom of speech on whatever he was doing, and so one of the main things that he did was, in the 1860s, he was campaigning to end the war and criticizing Lincoln for having a cavalier approach to civil liberties, a criticism Lincoln responded to a having vandalism arrest. Abraham Lincoln also appointed Ambrose Burnside. For President widely agreed to have been strategic genius, Lincoln sure had a knack for picking incompetent generals. In November 1862, he ordered talentless nobody Ambrose Burnside to take control of the army in the Potomac outfit so well trained and equipped that anybody should have been able to lead them to victory. Another huge thing that Abraham Lincoln did was reversing General Hunter's Emancipation Proclamation. It is no secret that Lincoln utterly detested slavery. He once famously remarked that if slavery was not wrong, nothing is wrong. But there was at least one other thing he hated with equal ferocity. Subordinates stepping on his toes. In May 1862, these two passions collided with depressing results. A few weeks earlier, Union soldiers under the command of General Davis had. Another thing that sets us aside in being a better president is that Miss Alfred actually fully supported us deporting squirrels from the presidential lawn.
Yeah.
So, we win anyway.